Hi everyone, my name is Maria. Happy Friday. Happy day after final debate day. I don't know about everybody else, but I am very, very happy debates are over with. Yeah. So I thought I would just give my little 2 cents about my thoughts about the debate and about, like, we need one more thought out there roaming around. But I just thought I'd go on record saying some things I thought, and some really cool things too that I liked last night about the whole thing. The moderator was fantastic, Kristen Welker. Welker. I don't know if you pronounce it Welker or Wecker, Welker, Kristen with an E. Really did an awesome job, I thought, of just keeping the men on task and engaged, and feeling like they were being heard and they were being attended to. They weren't going to be dropped on their head and, oh, but I have something left to say. We're going to come right back to you. Okay, and we're going to address that in a minute. Thank you, sir. Really polite, really just, you know what? She didn't have a confrontational, she was assertive, but she wasn't confrontational. And honestly, I felt the first debate went off course from the way the moderators, and I love Chris Wallace, but I felt that if you're going to moderate, you can't just throw questions at people and try to time them. Starting with when Megyn Kelly, very first debate back in 2016, her first question to Donald Trump was, well, you call women dogs and all this and that, right? Okay, well, that kind of put him on the defense right away, and I'm not one to defend Donald Trump ever. But if you begin by having to be on the defense like that, it's going to keep rolling in that direction pretty much. So I felt that this particular moderator I felt like she was very objective and neutral, which is how it should be. And she kept it moderately going back and forth. And she didn't favor one over the other. And I have felt that moderators in past have allowed more time for some people, or given more fueled questions to some people, or asked for a response from something that maybe was something that was going to keep going back and forth. So I really felt the moderating was key with this debate, and then having to have a shut off, like, instead of having a gong, which I wanted. I grew up with the Gong Show, and I just loved the Gong Show. Or maybe a little mosquito thing in their ear that just comes around and goes, like, you're done. Or scratching nails on the board at the chalkboard. You're done. It can't be easy. It can't be easy. I also felt like it didn't decide anything for me. I already knew who I was going to vote for. I already know it's set in stone. Nothing's going to change that. At this point, I'm not even voting for the next president so much as the next president in 2024 and onward. I'm looking progressively towards vice presidents that will become president and who they'll bring along. And so I'm looking beyond. I'm not looking just at Joe Biden. I'm not looking just at Donald Trump and Mike Pence. I'm looking at all of it. And after much prayer and paying attention to everything, and not just what's in the news, but I really pay attention to what they say and do. All of them. And I'm somewhere between the way George Carlson felt about, was the name George Carlson? I can't remember. Yeah, I think that was it. And bleep, bleep, bleep. One of his last shows, he talked about politicians and how there are no stinky politicians. There are no crappy, corrupt politicians. The people choose the politicians. Yeah, that's right. God didn't appoint any especially appointed politician to be in there. So I'm tired of hearing people talk about, God appointed Donald Trump for such a time as this. He is the chosen one. No, he's not. No, he's not. See, thy will be done, thy kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. It's going to come in God's time, no matter who's in there. But what God did give us was free will and choice. So we get the consequences of free will and choice along with the corrupted system we're in, where there can be interruption in the electoral process and election problems like Russia, Ukraine, China, or just the whole electoral process and two-party system, which stinks. That's why it really kind of cracks me up sometimes when professed born-again, especially right-wing, very fundy, Bible-thumping Christians will claim to know God and the Holy Spirit and then be afraid of one world order, when that is what God's going to bring, is one world order. So it's nothing to fear. I guess I'm a real simpleton, and I know God well enough to know, and I'm with God all the time. God's with me all the time. I'm young. God is my sovereign king, and I don't look to a man for anything. I look to God. And God's kingdom will come, and it won't be through this earthly government. But while we're here, we have to play by these rules. And we're not of this world, but we're in this world. So we have to maintain and remain aware, remain part of the process by staying occupied and making people aware of what's more corrupt and what's better, and the good news of the gospel, and that not to fear when we saw things were going corrupt or when we start to see things going haywire. So I take a real spiritual approach and then a very simplistic justice approach to things. And I said a long time ago, not that long, almost 3 years, feels like forever ago now, I made a video and I said I didn't see Joe Biden running for Joe Biden. I knew that if he did run, it would be for his son, Beau, who passed away, and made him promise. And really, Beau Biden was a real presidential potential, much like John Kennedy Jr. would have been. He had all the makings of presidential material, and for him to suddenly come down with such a rare form of brain cancer, it had to have thrown Joe Biden, I always felt, into delayed grief reaction over his wife, who died tragically, and his baby daughter right before Christmas with his 2 boys in a hospital in full body casts. So I really felt like Joe's doing this for Beau. And that could be okay. Could be part of his grieving process and everything. But I don't depend on a man to save the soul of America either. I depend on God to save the soul of America. So I look at it all very differently. But I also think that last night's debate was an adult debate. I thought they both made their points very well and listened to each other. And there were snarky moments, but they were both measured and careful to really be thoughtful and allow us to hear how they think on their feet and where they would think of things differently. One of the highlights for me was when Joe Biden said people are not learning to live with coronavirus, they are dying with it. And then when Donald Trump said, well, okay, Joe, you've had 40 years, 47 years, what are you doing? Because you don't keep doing this, you're not going to keep going to the same hairdresser, getting your hair cut wrong for 47 years, right? Well, okay, how come it's still broke? You've had all this time. What's different this time? Well, you learn. And I think what I really loved about Joe is he was able to say, with kind of throwing President Obama a little under the bus, but not really, but saying, I didn't agree. I was the vice president. I wasn't the president. I was the vice president. And Donald Trump kind of was like, but he said I was the vice president. And I was like, oh, I wish he wouldn't have said that. But he did. But then he said, I learned. We made mistakes. I wouldn't have done it that way. I didn't agree. That wasn't right. We did it wrong. Or that was wrong. Or I think that was wrong. I never wanted to do that. It was just refreshing to be able to hear a man or a woman or anyone in this world say, I was wrong. Just, I've rethought it and I was wrong. I did what I thought I did best then, and it made sense, and we were wrong. And that's the only way you learn in life, is to make mistakes. We don't learn from our successes, we learn from our failures. That's been my experience. Hopefully we learn from our mistakes, right? So, it was all in all, it was a really good grown-up debate. But the best part of the night for me was I was listening to all the talking heads later and analysis talking over the debate. And I fell asleep. And I thought, oh, shoot, I didn't get to see Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon. Where the heck were they? And because this is my normal lineup at night, is Chris Cuomo, then Don Lemon, then lights out. If I do fall asleep with the TV on, I'll wake up and catch Don Lemon over again in the morning, or Chris Cuomo over again in the morning, and then I'll turn the TV off if I've already seen it. If not, I'll stay up and watch it on rerun. Yep. Sometimes I'll be knitting or something, and I'll be real involved in a project, and I'll have the TV on, and it'll go from Aaron Bernay to Anderson, Cooper to Chris Cuomo to Don Lemon, and I'm just into the night to the early morning, and then Don Lemon and Anderson Cooper over again, and everyone over again. So post debate, I'd have to say the best show was Chris Cuomo and Don Lemon together, not separate, together. But they were in like a Brady Bunch split screen, and they were doing the Brady Bunch thing. They were talking to each other through the little screen. Yep. And I just love these two together. Their yin and yang is so perfectly balanced. And I love that Don Lemon can totally challenge Chris when he's riding the fence of being in a political family and being white and being privileged. And Don Lemon can say, okay, but you're not really going there. And Chris gets it, and they don't tear at each other. They challenge each other, but it's not a bad thing. They challenge each other in a good way to grow or to think of it from another point of view. And they both take that to heart and have a good laugh about it, or Okay, I'm going to think about that and get back to you, but they don't rip each other apart. They don't compete, and there's no jealousy, comparison, and competition and judgment going on there. There's only trying to help each other learn and grow in this experience of life, and then have a few chuckles along the way, and help us to learn too. And so it was great because I got to see them together. Because I will watch Chris Cuomo for the way he lays out his show is very different from Don Lemon's the lineup. His approach is different. It's more of a lawyer, journalist approach. I appreciate both of them. But when you put them together, like when Chris is introducing Don's show to start, they'll get a few moments of chit chat, and that's my most favorite time of the day. That's it. It puts a smile on my face every night. And I think we all need a smile on our face once in this. I just turn down the noise and smile a little more and feel a little joy. And I woke up this morning feeling hopeful because I really can't stand arguing. I really can't. And I think everybody has their plateau with that. I don't like loud people yelling at each other all the time. I don't. And it's not that I'm afraid of confrontation. Oh, no, I'm not afraid of confrontation. I'm perfectly fine with people loud and all that. But I mean that because there are cultures that are just loud. I come from a very loud Italian culture. But I grew up where there was constant, just everybody revved up. And I think like from a baby, I didn't know calm. And as an adult, I've really cultivated and tried to find my calm space. And everything has been getting a little too revved up. And we have to find our space that's sacred. And for me, that's with God and a hobby, a good book, and with God. And last night was really cool. So I just really appreciated that Donald Trump didn't get nasty with Joe Biden, and Joe Biden didn't get nasty with I don't think everybody wants that. What I have noticed about Donald Trump is I don't think he even wants that. I think he falls into it because he wants to please the people, his base. But I notice all the time that when he's at the rallies, he will like start riffing on what the people like. He will like be like a person at a poker table with a bunch of cards and, shuffling the deck, throwing out the cards and kind of trying to see, throw out some cards, see who picks up that card first. And so he'll throw out things like, I gotta lock her up. And people start chanting, lock her up, lock her up, lock her up. And then he's like, oh, yeah, lock her up. Yeah. And then lock him up. They gotta lock him up. Lock him up, lock him up, lock him up. If you notice, every time he's kind of like, all right, lock him up. Under his breath, they gotta lock them all up. Lock them up, lock them up. And he will actually be shocked. He will actually look like, this is what the people want? Lock them up. He does that a lot. And I remember what George Carlson said, there are no stinky politicians. There are stinky people that vote in stinky politicians and make them stinky because they want what they want. So, that said, can't blame the politician. They're just I remember, I think, go look it up, George Carlson and Politicians, why he doesn't vote. I think it was one of his last shows where he just talks about the two-party system sucking, of course, the electoral process sucking, of course, and the big wheel and deep state people behind the politicians that are really running in the media that keeps it going, and all that. But then nothing new under the sun. It's not woke. It's pretty old, folks. But but he says it in such a funny way, like it comes back to the people wanting what they want, and these politicians are bought and freaking, they're bought, they're voted for and they're bought, the lobbyists and everything. So he was saying, of course, then they get, no, they're the bad ones, right? But they're not the bad ones, it's the people that want what they want. So, Lord, I'm tired. And I just say everybody make a plan. In New York, we start early voting tomorrow, and I'm looking forward to seeing how that goes for people. Many more people have gotten their ballots and sent them in already. I don't think there has to be any fear any way you vote, as long as you have a plan to vote. I'm not fearful about going to an actual my normal voting place. I'm very confident in doing that. I like to get the little sticker. But I'm not afraid to put my ballot in an actual drop box or mailbox. I guess I wouldn't put it into a post person's hand, only because it's been raining a lot lately and they have so many bags on them. Whenever you see them, they got the bag they're putting the mail in, they got the bag yeah, and then the truck to deal with. I would just put it in a mailbox and just make sure your postmark is on by the day it needs to be, and be fine. Be fine. We just have to be a patient people, and we might not get the results election night, but we will get them that week, maybe the next week. It'll probably be contested no matter what, but I'm prepared for that. I hope everybody is having a good weekend and is enjoying the weather today. We're 78 right now, and we're going down to 47 tomorrow, and not getting out of the 40s, 50s for the weekend. So that's New York for you. So I definitely feel some soup making coming on. Have a nice day, everyone. Thanks for tuning in, and if you listen, God bless you for hanging in. Take care. Bye-bye.